So welcome back to Wedding Tip Wednesday.
Delighted.
I have the gorgeous Sian Sharkey with me again this week. And this week we are going to be answering the questions that the followers, by the way, we talked about your 10,000 followers last week. I have a lot more, just saying.
Yeah, I know. I know, Jenny. But for me, it was nothing. It just came so easily, as I said before. It really didn't take much effort.
Do you know how long it took me to get that amount of followers?
How
Do you know?
long?
Just all my life.
Yeah. I'm like, because it took me a year to get about 1,000.
So listen, I put a little question box up on Instagram the other evening, last night. And I told people I'm going to be answering their questions. And when I do that, the whole thing just goes on fire. Okay.
That's unbelievable. That's another thing. I do things like that and get like 2 questions from my mum and my auntie.
You're obviously not putting it up at the right time.
No, I don't.
So I got loads and loads and loads of questions. And I just thought, you know what? I'm going to keep you here and let's just talk about it together, because I love the questions. Some of them are very, very random.
Yeah, but this makes me nervous now. I'm probably going to say the wrong thing and there'll be wedding suppliers all over the country going, shut up, Sian Sharkey. What do you know?
But you know, some of them you'll be able to answer because some of them are questions for the morning of the wedding, you know, and some of them I'll be able to answer. But you'll be able to give me your little bit of feedback as well.
Sure, I'll just be honest. I'll be honest and see what comes out.
So my first question is, getting married in a month, what are your last minute tips? Have you any last minute tips about the hair?
Well, yeah, I mean, a month before your wedding, you definitely want to be making sure that you've timed your colour right if your hair is coloured, because you don't want roots on the day, but you also don't want a stain from your colour on the day.
Jesus.
So your colour would have to be timed right. I would say about 2 weeks before your wedding is a good time to do your last colour.
Okay.
And then you should have always been using your good shampoo and conditioner anyway. So you'll continue with that. And then when you get closer to your wedding, just make sure that your final wash and condition is by you. And you don't need to go off and get a fancy treatment or anything with a month to go. Like maybe do a treatment now if you want, and then just stick to your shampoo, conditioner. Yes. Nothing too exciting.
Yeah.
Don't take any risks.
Your colour.
Don't take any risks.
But
the colour probably is the most important one, really. Like
so
timing.
Other tips, I suppose, getting married in a month. You know, your last, I suppose the bits coming up to your wedding would be a couple of weeks beforehand. Your table plan is a big thing. And people are feckers for RSVPing. Honestly, sorry now people, but I'm the worst as well. Like we're going to my nephew's wedding on Friday.
RSVP'd.
Well, he knows Martin and I are going, but like my other son can't go because he's in college down the country.
That's what people do for weddings. They go, oh, but you know me and Mary are coming. And you're like, well, I didn't actually because you didn't RSVP.
Now. So RSVPing is a big thing. And if you don't want to post it back in the envelope that was sent to you with a stamp on it.
Did people still do that? That's what I did for my wedding, but that was a long time ago.
Not everybody does it, but some people...
It's definitely easier just to put a little email address because people might do it then.
Isn't it? A lot of people do that and a lot of people put their phone numbers on it.
Just easier.
People are still not RSVPing, so please RSVP. So when you have all your RSVPs in, you need to start doing your table plan and getting in touch with your venue. You know, picking up your wedding dress is another thing. Picking up the groom's suits.
Checking in on everybody.
Because
I've done a few weddings where on the morning they're like, what time's the florist coming? And then they might be like, oh, I don't know, I haven't talked to her in ages. Whereas I think like the last 2 weeks, especially before your wedding, I'd probably email everyone.
Absolutely.
Not houndy. Just be like, just checking in and touching base, because I would send an email to all my brides the week before their wedding.
Yes.
But not everybody might do that. So I would probably just check in with everybody.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Just so on the day you're not wondering anything. Mm-hmm. Just a little friendly check-in.
And, you know, photographer, videographer, in particular your photographer, you definitely need to have a chat with them, you know.
If you haven't already.
Your photos are like all you're left with afterwards. Obviously, you're left with your husband or your wife or whoever you're marrying. But your memories are like so important. Yeah. So you need to touch base and make sure you put all those photos in. You know, don't assume that the photographer is going to get all of those pictures you have in your head.
Yeah, like make sure you get them to make a list. Do you?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like you know me. I mean, I could do it in my sleep now at this stage, but I don't leave one family scenario unphotographed. So I would always get everything that I need. And I have a plan for it. So that's the way I do it. And I meet my couples 2 weeks beforehand on Zoom and we talk about time schedules, big style, you know, and how the day is going to pan out.
So surprising that you talk about time schedules.
Imagine me giving a time schedule.
Wouldn't have thought it would have been.
Sian Sharkey,
I feel like it's just become a thing now. Like I don't even know. Like it's just now in my head.
Well, excuse me. if you don't have a time schedule, you're going to get feck all time at your drinks reception.
But people always go, what time do we need to do things at? And I know the things that I need people to do. But honestly, I'm like, ask your photographer. They will know because it's so important for you to be at the right place at the right time.
But photographers don't give time schedules, Sian. I've spoken to lots of them. And
but even
like,
on the day, photographers are the people who would be like, you should do this now. Or it's probably time. Like they know what time. They generally, maybe they're not the type of person who's into a time schedule, but they know what time they need to leave. They know what time. They are good people. And they also know about the weather.
Well, they are good people. I never look at the weather. I just don't bother because I had a scenario years ago. My husband used to be a weatherman and he told me, imagine. And he said to me, Jesus, you better just forewarn them, bring umbrellas, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be lashing.
So then you brought out your own brand of umbrella.
And of course I did. Well, of course I brought my own brand of umbrellas out. And they're flying. People are slow to buy them because they don't want to jinx the weather on the wedding day.
I know, that's a funny one.
So they buy them.
It's a last minute
They
purchase.
buy them, if you post it today, will I have it tomorrow? I'm like, oh, Jesus. You know,
that's a funny thing actually,
So they do fly out, but they're always late buys. Yeah. Okay. I do them in black as well, so you can have them afterwards. You can use them.
So you can have them for your funeral.
But back to Martin. Oh God, bless us and save us tonight.
Cut that out. That's horrible.
I won't cut that out. But yes, so he told me to warn them all. They all went out and bought umbrellas before I did my own. We walked out at Trinity. The church was Trinity College. In there, that beautiful church.
Gorgeous.
We walked out, there wasn't a cloud in the sky.
And they're all carrying umbrellas.
So I never, ever look
You're
at
like,
the weather
I'm not getting
anymore,
involved.
And
Figure it
I
out
don't
yourself.
ask Martin King. Anyway, I know. He gets told what the weather's going to be like. He doesn't, pick it out of the sky, so to speak.
Yeah.
So just check in with everyone. Make sure organisation is key. And
totally.
Your wedding day is your wedding day. It's going to be the best day of your life, but it's an event. Yeah. And it needs preparation.
Totally.
So
I think the organisation thing, definitely. I've been doing some people's hair where they're sitting there on their wedding morning and they're in the middle of finalising something on their lap. And I'm like, you could have definitely done that. Like there are things that you cannot do until the last minute.
Yes,
like your table plan, whatever. But the morning of the wedding, you shouldn't really have anything left to do.
And don't be packing your bags.
Just sit and enjoy the time. Like
Sian,
you'd definitely be organised.
Packing your suitcase on the morning of the wedding. I want to slap them. They don't do that anymore because I warned them. But I mean,
these are all things definitely just even the night before. Don't leave anything until the wedding morning because then you can just chill and have the crack.
Yeah, exactly.
So much nicer.
Okay, so here's somebody else. Weddings with dogs. Did you experience any hiccups with pets or near disasters taking photos? Now, a lot of the time, the dogs are photographed on the morning before the bride gets into her dress. And there's an awful lot of dogs that get brought to a church. And lately, I've had dogs being brought to the wedding venue. I have had...
I'm not a dog person.
You're not a dog person,
No.
are you not? Do you not have a dog?
No.
Why? You don't
I
like them?
don't like them.
Okay, that's the end of the podcast.
I have a cat and I love him.
I don't like cats.
But I don't mind people's dogs, but I hate on a wedding morning when there's like a dog going around your kit and getting all in your wires and all. And I'm like, what? Like the Dicky Bow's cute, but no. And I'm just not, I'm not really, I'm not a dog person. And one time I turned up at a wedding and a very excited dog came bounding out of the house and then weed on my kit, like my kit bag.
And it didn't have
and
a
I was
penis
like,
anymore after that.
Excuse me, like what has just happened? And for me, like other people, like isn't she gorgeous? My buddy on the Instagram. Look at my buddy on the wedding day, and I'm like, remove your dog, bring in the child. I'll have the child. I don't want the dog.
Well, there are people who do love their dogs,
and it's a cute photo.
And it's a cute photo. And sometimes they bring their dog into the studio when they're having after they've had their first baby. So I get it. However, on a wedding day, if you are, and I have had disasters, and I'll talk about 2 in a second. By the way, just on dogs, I have my own beautiful little King Charles, who's 14 and a bit.
I've seen your dog.
Poor little Junior. He was 14 in May, and I'm not sure how long more we're going to have him. And when that does happen, watch my Instagram because I will cry and cry and cry and cry. Anyway, that's not for a while. Hopefully.
I do understand people's love for their dogs, and
he's just the best dog ever. He doesn't even bark, the little pet. So yes, I have seen disasters. I have seen dogs dirtying a wedding dress. By the way, I wash wedding dresses.
I would just presume that a dog would dirty. Like I would just be like, why would you have the dog? It's a dog and it doesn't know.
Absolutely. Well,
There's a funny Instagram video of the golden retriever dog like runs up and knocks over everything, and I'm like, well, what do you think was going to happen?
Exactly,
like,
because
of course,
they're dogs.
Because it's a dog.
So I was doing a wedding on a beach, And the couple didn't have a dog, and they wanted to go down to this beach because
someone else's dog.
Somebody else's dog. Oh, jeez.
That'd tip me over the edge.
Almighty. Yeah.
At least if it's your own dog, you love it. And
the groom had a wrestling match with the dog because he was going straight, and he still jumped on the bride and he destroyed the end of her dress.
Oh my God.
So she turned her back and he just jumped up. And I don't even know what make of a dog he was, but he was full of hair and he was full of sand and he was after being in the sea and he was manky. So I have. But so just a little tip about dogs on a wedding day. If you're going to have them brought up to the church, brought up to the ceremony, get somebody who specialises with dogs. You know, I've had...
or someone who the dog knows really well or something.
Absolutely.
To be
Yeah, I've had different companies come. I mean, I had one in Tankerstown recently and I can't remember the name of the person, but I put it on my Instagram post and she was amazing. She brought the dog up. She had groomed him beforehand.
Yeah, see, this is gorgeous.
Brought him up
and then you
photos.
Get your gorgeous photos. They're there,
and
but
she
it's
took
not...
him away, but he was spotless. She had wipes and everything in her bag just in case. Amazing.
Good idea.
Have the dog spotlessly clean because, okay.
Good idea.
Here's one. Do you have any recommendations for a makeup artist near Killarney?
Killarney.
Yeah.
That Upstall Junkie is down that way.
Yeah.
Oh, there's definitely
makeup
more.
Artist.
Oh,
makeup artist.
She used to do both, but I don't think she does anymore. Oh, I'll have to think about it.
Yeah. Let's come back to that.
Yeah.
Scared I'll spend the day crying, Jenny. I get so emotional at weddings. Any advice? Yeah. Look,
I cried.
weddings.
I bawled.
Yeah.
And I'm not a crier. It's very overwhelming. I don't know. I want to hear the tip too because it's so hard to control that.
It is very hard to control it. And Jenny McCarthy always has to photograph her bride with her dad before I leave. You know I do.
That tips me over the edge.
Now, some makeup artists nearly stab me with their makeup brushes when I do this, but I feel that is his little girl and he wants to see her in her dress.
I don't think you should skip things to stop the emotion to save your makeup. Like it's your wedding day.
No, I won't.
So I get why makeup artists are like, oh, here we go. And there might be a touch up.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't skip things to avoid emotion.
No,
like those
I can't.
Photos.
Yeah.
Oh my
priceless.
God.
And what I will do in that instance, like everyone else has seen the bride up to then. Her mum has seen her and the bridesmaids have seen her because they've all come into the room. Dad's the last person to see her. So what I will do, I love to do it in a bedroom. Like some people
a lot of people do that bottom of the stairs. That's a real bottom of the stairs.
Now, the only thing is, right, bottom of the stairs, just to tell you guys, I like to get Dad's reaction. So if you can imagine taking the photo from the bottom of the stairs, the dad has his back to you. So you're photographing the bride. I've already photographed her. I want to get Dad's reaction. Yeah. So a lovely photograph is when I have the bride out of focus in my shot and Dad is walking towards her. And I'm kind of as far back as I can and I'm not speaking. It's just a moment between the two of them.
Gorgeous.
And it's like golden. Yeah. Now, how do you stop? So that's probably one of the most... Now, that's if Dad is around. By the way, Sian, my poor dad died when we were all quite young, so he wasn't there. I always say this because there are people out there who don't have their dad on the morning of a wedding and it might be the mum seeing them.
It's so funny. My dad wasn't at my wedding and I didn't have that moment, but I still look at other people's dad moments and love it. I wonder, I need to look into that. Yeah. That's my own issues. But yeah, I know. Some people don't have that. And then if you don't have that though, it might be an emotional thing that you don't have it, but for a lot of people, if you don't have it, it's just not a part of it, and then it's just not a part of your day, and it's not something you want or need. But if you have it, what a lovely moment!
What a lovely moment, and they're moments that you'll have forever and ever. So, how do you get over that? You can't get over that because that's going to happen. But I think some of the most emotional points on a wedding day would be that on the morning, and walking up the aisle and seeing your partner.
It's emotional. You can't be...
That's emotional.
But there are tricks to stop the tears flowing down your face and ruining your makeup.
There are.
Rather than, how do I stop being emotional, which I just don't think you can.
Yes.
Yeah, you need the tricks to not ruin your makeup.
But I just wanted, those points are probably the most key points on a wedding day, is kind of walking up the aisle and then being handed over. And after that, and after you get married, the day, it's not emotional anymore.
No, maybe at the speeches or whatever, but it's those moments are kind of, it's more fun from then
on. Now,
you
don't want to be bawling your eyes out either and ruining your makeup, but there are tips.
Yeah.
So I would very often say, and you know these tips as well, Sian, because you're around. So cotton buds.
Yeah.
Pop them into your bouquet.
Because if you like dab them into the corner of your eye, the tear doesn't. And then you also don't have a tissue where you're like rubbing your mascara.
Yeah. Because if your tear falls, you're going to have a big streak. Don't want a streak on your face. No.
So it's more about controlling the flow of the tears than the emotion.
It is. And weddings are emotional and you will get emotional and there's nothing you can do to stop it. But just there are some tips. Amy, Jenny, do you know if a Catholic priest will marry you outside? That's a no. I've never seen it happen outside.
Don't know.
It's generally in a church. Now, what I have seen would be at spiritual ceremonies and humanist ceremonies, and sometimes a priest will get up to give a blessing.
Will be part of it. Yeah, I don't know.
But I've never, in all of the 20 years that I've been photographing weddings, seen a Catholic priest marrying anybody outside.
Oh.
So I need to look that up and see, is it allowed now? Because things have changed over the last few years, but I have never seen it.
No, I don't know.
Doreen, we got married the 3rd of September. Any recommendations for cleaning a wedding dress?
Like on the day?
No, she got married on the 3rd of September. And now she wants to get her wedding dress cleaned. Any recommendations?
Like there's people who specialise in that,
Absolutely,
isn't there?
There are. And there are lots of different companies who specialise in it and give you something to put your dress in.
It's like boxed up.
A box. Yeah. And I think that's a great idea because if you put it into a box and you put in well and there's tissue paper so that it doesn't go off colour.
Yeah.
I think it's well worth the money if you've decided to keep your wedding dress forever. To spend the money.
Yeah, definitely. I think I would do that. And it's funny because I did not do that. So I got married 14 years ago. And at the time I thought, sure, who cares? I've worn it now and Guinness on it, throw it in my wardrobe. And I didn't really care about it. But now I have 2 children and I've taken the dress out. And imagine if it had been beautifully put in a box.
Yeah.
And I took it out and it was perfect. I was like, I think I have that. And it was falling down the bottom of the dress bag. And I kind of took it out and it was in bits. But one of my daughters put that on. Yeah. And my other daughter put my Deb's dress on because my mum had hung on to that. And I have a picture of my children. It's the cutest thing ever. And then I put my dress on and it wouldn't zip up. And I have a picture of me with my dress on and holding one. And like these are things that when I got married, I thought, I'm not that type of person. Like, no. But do get it cleaned and save it and put it away. And you won't think it's like a wedding video. I remember thinking, I won't watch that. But I would now. I'd love to see my granny walking and talking. Like, because my granny's not here anymore.
Oh. And did you do a wedding video?
No. But my friend said to me, you'll regret that. And she did a bit of a wedding with video for me, but not a professional one.
Yeah.
But they're just things that on the wedding day, whatever age I was and whatever stage in my life I was at, I did not think would matter. Okay. But now that I have my kids and now that my granny isn't with me anymore, and I would love those things now. Yeah. So just do all those things, even if they seem like a waste of time, they're not.
So look up the wedding dress thing. I'm going to look it up again, and because I do have some recommendations and I'll put them on my Instagram post in a few days' time. Now, Sian, just to go back to the wedding videographer, because there is a question here and I'll come across it in a second. So let's talk about it now while we're on the subject. I have somebody here asking me, should they get a video or should they not get a video?
Like, I would definitely get a video. And honestly, I am not the sort of person who's like, I would definitely get the video. You definitely need the flower arch. You 100% have to get the photo booth. And like, I am not that person. Neither I promise you I'm not.
Yeah.
But the only thing, and I don't have regret about my wedding because it was deadly and I was 14 years younger than I am now and it was exactly what we wanted and it was brilliant. But I would love a video.
Yeah.
And probably I probably wouldn't sit down and watch like a 6-hour video of my wedding. But you know the way they do your wedding video and then they do that little snippet?
Yes.
I would love the snippet.
Yes.
I was so slim and young. And
you still
gorgeous.
Are. What's wrong with you?
Like, I would love to see that.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I would love the video. And I do think, and also in my mind at the time, and maybe it was different now, I do think maybe the actual equipment has changed, but I hated the thought of somebody with lights and a big video and like, could you do that again? No, I did not want that. So that's what was going to happen in my head. But now that I work in weddings, the videographers, you wouldn't know who the photographer or who the videographer was because you both have little cameras.
Yeah.
They don't make it, well, it depends who you get, I suppose, but most of the people, the ones who I like, don't get people to do things 5 and 6 times.
Yeah.
If they catch it, they catch it. If they don't, they're just in the background getting the day.
Right.
And I would have loved that.
Yeah. So I suppose my recommendation is absolutely get a videographer. We got married 12 years ago, Martin and I. we had all our kids first. We did it all back to front. And we weren't going to do a video because I just thought, I don't know. And then Martin works in television and he was like, no. And then Keith Malone, who's a pal of mine, he's a videographer, and he said, can I do it as a gift? And I said, okay. Well, it was the best thing we ever did because do you know what? Since then, unfortunately, Martin's mum and dad have passed away and my sister-in-law passed away, and I have them in my video. And it's not about people passing away. It's about looking back and hearing people and seeing people.
It's hearing the voices and seeing people move. Because I've loads of pictures of my granny. My granny was there. She was brilliant. But there's something about the video. I would love just to watch it now. I would love it now. And I wouldn't have then. I probably would have sat on the shelf for 6 years. But time passes and then... And I find you're away with the fairies on your wedding day and you can't really remember anything. And like the photos I have, some of them I'm like, what was that? Like, when did you all do that? So to have that all on videos
would be amazing. Amazing. Okay.
They're expensive, but worth it if you ask me.
Yeah. You know, and I've lots and lots and lots and lots of recommendations. So if you need any recommendations for videographers, just let me know. Emma, I'm nervous about being the centre of attention. Any tips for shy brides?
Yeah, like loads of people say this to me and I'm like, really? I absolutely loved it, would you believe?
She loves the attention.
Seriously. And I only had this discussion with my friend the other day. She was like, I'm an introvert. I think I'm a like extroverted introvert. And she was like, you're an extrovert. What are you talking about? But so I don't really get it because I'm like, hair, makeup, the nicest dress that's ever been made, fitted for you.
Yes.
Everyone in the room, you asked them to come. They all love you.
Yes.
The door's going to open. They're going to be like, oh my God, look at our beautiful girl. Like everyone is there for you. Everybody there loves you. You look amazing. Look as good as you could ever look. It's brilliant. Why do you know? Like,
so what tips can you give them
But
though?
I am not a shy person.
Yes.
So I suppose if you are a shy person, that could literally tip you over the edge and you could not want to do it.
Yes.
So I suppose what I say to my brides is just take a minute to think about what you're doing. Don't be going in thinking, oh my God, there's 150 people looking at me. Be like, this is my cousins, my aunties, all my friends, all our
people
friends.
I love.
And everybody in that, nobody's in there going, I can't wait to see her so I can pick her dress apart. They're not. They just can't wait to see you. And when you see their faces looking at you, like walk up the aisle, take a deep breath and look at all those people and be like, hello, oh my God, thank you for coming. And just be in the moment and enjoy it. And don't think that everyone's there. You're putting on a show.
Yeah.
Just try and enjoy.
So
I've
had lots of shy brides and people who just don't like attention on them, but they have to kind of get married and they have to do all those things. They feel like they have to do all those things. However, you know, sort of when the bell rings for dinner, everyone's announced in, and then the couple are brought into the room and everyone stands up and there's a song played. I've had so many couples who just kind of walk in and don't make a big
I didn't
fuss of
do
it.
any of that bit now.
Or they don't want to do the whole, they have a wedding cake, but they don't want to be brought up to cut the wedding cake. They don't want a big scenario. So there's ways to take the tension
know
off
that you don't have to do all of the things. There's no rules. So you have to get married and you have to walk up the aisle.
Make it
probably,
about yourself.
But then skip all. Like, don't do a first dance if you don't want to.
I've had a bride and groom who didn't want the whole walk up the aisle. So, and they weren't too bothered about that whole first look when she walked up the aisle. So they both came down 30 minutes before the ceremony is due to begin and they mingled with the guests and they just walked into the room. Yeah. Now that's unusual.
That is unusual.
That was very unusual.
I think I've done one wedding where the bride has done that.
What am I going to do? Oh my God.
Yeah, you're like, this isn't normal.
And then I just thought, this is not about me. This is about them.
Well, that's it. I think just, that's good advice. You don't have to do anything.
No, you don't have to do anything.
Make it whatever you want.
Absolutely. Okay, Jesus, we've hundreds of these. We're not going to get through them all.
We're brilliant though. Our advice is unbelievable.
How do you get around awkward family situations, people not speaking to other people, etc.?
That's so tricky. That's so tricky, isn't it? You're like, don't sit them there. Don't put them near that. I don't know. Like, that is hard.
It is hard. So you're always going to get this, aren't you? You know,
I don't think there's any family where you'll know everybody. It's brilliant. We're all absolutely everyone has something. But I suppose the main thing is just don't like plonk them beside each other. Be aware, and conscious of where people should be at the seating plan. And aside from that, I presume it's up to them to
So don't put them sitting together is what I would say. If there are people who don't get on, don't put them near each other. I do have another one down. So we're talking about this because there is another one in a second about parents. Look, if you have people coming to your wedding and they don't talk to each other, there's nothing you can do about that.
Yeah.
you just have to keep them apart. And if
it is your direct family, you don't have to do the top table thing.
So that's what I'm going to talk about.
We didn't have a typical, the way you do like bridegroom, brideside, groomside, and they all kind of alternate.
Yes.
We didn't do that because that just wasn't going to work for my family setup. So you cannot do a top table, or you can sit your top table whatever way you want.
Absolutely.
I had me and then my side and Kevin and then his side. We didn't do all that.
So look, if they're friends or cousins that don't get on, that's fine. Now, I have somebody in a second asking me, because I know it's coming up because I read it last night and I thought I know what I'm going to tell you. And it's exactly what you just said there, Sian. So she said that she wants to sit at the top table with her parents, but her groom's parents don't get on. They're separated. They don't like each other. So in that situation, if you really want to have a top table, what I have seen happening in the past would be the groom's mother and the bride's father sitting there, and vice versa on the other side. So
that's more the traditional rules. When I got married, people were telling me that's what I had to do.
Yes.
It had to be like the mother of one and like the alternating thing. And I hated that idea.
No, I don't
my
like
dad
it.
wasn't there, and I knew Kevin's parents wouldn't want to be split up. So I didn't do it at the time.
No, I don't like it either myself.
But also you could do it if it works for you. Then be like, we're very traditional. We need to do it. And no one needs to know why you're doing it.
So the thing is, and when Martin and I got married 12 years ago, what we did for our top table was the two of us just sat at a table with our children.
Yeah, see, that was perfect.
When I say top table, we were in the middle of the room. It was a round table. I didn't want to be at the top of the room looking at everyone. So it's whatever you make it. Now, that bride definitely wants to have her parents at the top table. See, Sian, if it was me, I don't want to be sitting with somebody else's husband. I want to be sitting with my own husband.
Same.
I want to be mine,
Yeah.
So like... That's just the way it is. If you want to keep that couple separately, you're going to kind of have to mix them up if you want them at the top table. Or don't have them at the top table.
Yeah, don't do it.
Don't do it.
Just do whatever works for you.
I'm going to answer 3 more questions because we're running out of time. Okay, we're going on for Ireland here. Okay, so, and that's okay. I don't mind going on for Ireland. Do brides throw their own bouquets, or do the bridesmaids, or is it the bridesmaid bouquet that they throw? Now, that doesn't always happen either.
Yeah, I'm gone at that point, so I'm not very good at that.
So basically, generally, they don't do it all the time. I'd say if it's done now 20% of the time.
I feel like would they throw a bridesmaid?
A bridesmaid. They won't throw their own. They've spent a fortune on and sometimes the bridesmaids want to bring their bouquet home. So again, if you want to stick with the traditional thing, ask one of the bridesmaids, would they mind you taking their bouquet? Because it's their bouquet and they might want to take it home, or else just get a small little one made.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. And then I thought, is that very like diva-ish? But your florist could maybe make you a little extra one. Nobody knows. No one's really looking at the detail in that one.
So yeah, exactly. So just the whole thing is a symbol. Somebody catching, it's a bit of crack.
Yeah.
Somebody said here, don't forget to cut the cake. Now, look, it's not for everyone.
Yeah.
But sometimes it does get forgotten. Generally, the hotel don't
I was going to say,
them.
you wouldn't be remembering that because it'd be up to the hotel to be like, it's time to cut the cake.
Yeah, so sometimes if things have run over big style, if they said, oh, the speech is only going to be 20 minutes and an hour and a half later, the hotel are just trying to get the cake away so that they can get the band in. So don't forget to cut the cake. If you want to cut the cake, So I would always get my couples, if they want a cake shot, I'll bring them into the room before anybody else sees that room because they want to see it.
Yeah, and then stand
the cake is there and we'll do it then. And then if they want that whole big shebang later on where
it happens, great.
And it happens, that's fine. If not, and they look better earlier on in the evening anyway. But anyway,
that's a good idea. Get things done.
Okay, so this is going to be our last. Like there's loads and loads and loads more, but I'm going to save them and I'm going to do them again in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
Do you think bouquets, back to bouquets, are a must? Would love not to have them, but are they important for photos?
So you would know for the photos, right? Yeah. But what I think is, well, first of all, I think do whatever you like, who cares?
Yeah.
But the only thing I think about a bouquet is you're a bit like,
where do I put my hands?
And if you're going to be a little bit nervous and to have something to hold on to, I feel is just handy.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So that's why I would have it, not really for the love of flowers or thinking that bouquets are essential. You'll still be legally married.
Absolutely.
If you don't have a bouquet.
Absolutely.
But it would be definitely just something to do with your hands.
Yeah. It does look odd. I have photographed a wedding. Now, it was over in Marbella and they didn't have bouquets.
And what are you going to do with your hands?
Yeah, what will I do with my hands is all and they'd no pockets in their dresses. And I even think,
but walking up the aisle with your hand in your pocket would feel funny as well.
I've had that a couple of times here, and I'll talk about that in a second. But the one I did in Marbella, they didn't want bouquets, and it just looked a bit odd. So the girls had no idea what to do with their arms. So I mean, I've tips for that. You just sort of stand to the side and kind of keep your arm away from your side so that you can see a little bit of space in between your waist and your arm. So it looks like you have, a nice figure. But just so, and then your hands as well. Like never kind of keep your hand open because it looks like a bunch of bananas.
All these things.
So you kind of just
do matter so much because I would not be good at that kind of thing. And then you get a picture and you're like, why have I got a claw? But the bouquet definitely just something to do with your hand.
And like, so I would say, bouquets are good. I've had 2 brides over my 20 years in this industry walk up the aisle with no bouquet because they had the florist had delivered, and I feel sorry for the florist as well because they were on both occasions were meant to be white roses.
And then they're kind of yellow.
They're yellow or they're green, and they don't go with the dress, and that's what's happened. So you need to talk to your florist.
I actually feel really sorry for florists.
So do I.
I've seen these situations happen. And people are like, but these roses are meant to be a dusky pink and they're blatantly not. They're a bright peach.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they grew out of the ground and got delivered today. This is the colour of these roses this year.
Yeah.
But I suppose as a florist, it's up to you then to be like, these roses are gorgeous. Sometimes they're more of a cream.
Yes.
Sometimes they're more of a green. Would you be happy with that? If not, choose a different flower.
Absolutely.
But I think that's so hard.
Yeah. So bouquets, I would always say just be careful with the roses because they can be a funny colour, honestly. And that's it for this week.
Oh
Sian Sharkey, you little legend. Thank you so much for joining me this week.
Problem.
I think everyone's going to love those answers, and they're going to follow you now, and you're going to have 11,000 followers next week.
I doubt it. Let's be honest.
Thank you, Sian.
Thank you so much.